Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another hovercraft ship that once again puts its wheels on its side and gets boosted around by some atmospheric thrusters to create a very nice gliding effect, as well as being able to spin at full 360 while travelling forwards at 100 meters per second. So this thing sitting right behind me is called the AAV-3B Salamander, which is this lovely thing over here. So this is a heavily armed hovercraft that this time is designed to look like a hovercraft with dual fans at the back and a very flush looking design. We've got autocannons to manually blast enemies with, we've got two autocannon turrets, two gatling gun turrets, so we've got a nice lot of firepower all the way around this, and we are very heavily armed at the front there, so we can take on our enemies head on, and while due to the fact our wheels are set up like they are, we can continuously face our enemies while blasting them with all the guns. So for a quick demonstration, what I'm going to do is grab hold of my character, get into the cockpit, here we go. Now what we're going to do is put the friction all the way down to 0, there we are, I'm going to wiggle it, and away we go. So this is what it's like to just drive around on the surface. It feels very, very odd. And we've got to be a little bit careful here with these few lumps and bumps. But if we do go over a lump, this ship has been set up with some brushes below the ship. So I can press number 4. And now we just fly away into the distance. And we'll hopefully come down to the ground very, very carefully and minimize the damage this thing can take. See if we come down to the ground. And there we go. I can now switch them off and continue on my way. But no, with the way this thing has been set up, I'm going to travel forwards. Here we go. And now I'm going to spin around. And I can just blast all the way around me like it's just absolutely nothing. And that's just the sheer joy of using these types of wheel setups. Anyway, turning off number 4, not sure why I turned that back on. Coming to a stop. That'll do. Now I'm going to bring screen camera all the way back over. Going to go through the F10 menu, go around the outside. Then we'll go and actually test it out and see how it handles. There it is over there. I lost it for a second. So all the way over here for the Salamander, pressing F10 and finding it in here. This thing is 656 small blocks, using no DLC packs whatsoever. We see up here there's a small grid salt skimmer. There's a bit of information about it. We've got our controls listed on here, which I do absolutely love when people do. And then down to here, very bottom, some very useful bits of information, such as it is survival ready. You can make this in survival mode by printing it, but don't use it on online servers. Don't drive around at high speeds on online servers, or you might run into a lot of issues, such as just randomly clipping into stuff and blowing up. Okay, we'll give this thing a thumbs up. There we go. Head around towards the very front. I'll go around the outside, like I said, and go from there. So for the very front of the Salamander, this is what we get. Well, as you can see where I'm driving this from, it's our flush cockpit from subscribing to the Space Engineers newsletter. Of course, surrounding all that, we've got some dark green steel blocks with a splash of grey just to break it all up. Then, of course, we've got 2 of our 4 autocannons, but you just can't make out the other 2, sitting on the very left and right hand side. Down to here, some black corrugated armoured panels. There's some white blocks with some conveyor cap sitting on the end of it for a bit of decoration. Down below here, some spotlights to light up the darkness, as well as some blaster edge blocks and some small wheels that act as a bump guard. So if you want to slam into the building, slam into a mountainside, hopefully this will absorb most of the impact and will save the rest of the vehicle. Move around on the side, there's your other autocannon. Over here, we think of some lovely, sickly, light green steel blocks go around the bottom of this vehicle with a splash of yellow next to that access point for that autocannon to manually load up ammunition if that's what we want to do. There's of course our autocannon turret with one on the opposite side. There's a gatling turret on the very top. And towards the back there we go. Come around towards the very back of this thing, here's your connected docker up. And of course, here's your 2 giant fans. We've got flat atmospheric thrusters facing forwards and backwards, with some fantastic use of our armoured panels in the corrugated skin, just adding these little fins that would move left and right in real life to move you left and right. Of course, that won't work in this game unless you were to put rotors on there, but if you were to start adding rotors to make that function, well, you're going to end up with a giant fan design. Moving all the way up and looking down, there we go. So behind our connector, we've got a meter and cargo container that connects up to a O2H2 generator. Over to here, then your hydrogen engine to give it a nice bit of power. Towards the front there's of course your gatling turrets on both sides. There's an oxygen tank, there's your cockpits, and there we are for the very top. Moving all the way down underneath this thing, here we go. So you're not going to be able to see too much because of all the grass. There are some flat atmospheric thrusters to help boost you up into the air. So if you need to, for whatever reason, go all the way up, or to stop yourself from having a hard landing, they are there to help out. You can't really fly this around like a ship because they're not powerful enough to actually support this vehicle, but they are good enough to actually lower the impact of slamming into the ground. Anyway, up to there we've got some more atmospheric thrusters for our left and right, as well as a bunch of gyroscopes to help move this thing around. Then towards the back there, another gyroscope, and there's your connector to dock it up. And with that, that's a brief look around the outside of the AAV-3B Salamander. Those are bloody fantastic how it's been set up. I do absolutely love these almost slightly realistic designs, especially when it comes to hovercrafts with the giant fans at the back. But now what I'm going to do is grab hold of my character, bring up the HUD here. We've got 2 tabs to go through, but tab number 2 we don't really need to touch because it's going to be pure hydrogen engines, your O2 generator, your beacon, projector to actually repair this thing up, your autocannon turrets to turn them on and off, your connector and battery. Now we want to be on tab number 1, this is your main controls to actually use all the proper functioning stuff. Number 1 could be for you to turn on and off your thrusters and the front here, so turning them off and moving forwards, we're not going to slow down. Of course, got to put the friction down to 0 to actually get this thing moving. There we go. Now moving forwards. Now letting go of the keyboard, and there we are. We just keep going along like a cruise control. Turning on will come to a stop, and there we are. Number 2, number 3 is of course your friction to be able to move this thing around and make it slow down. You want to be very careful when actually fiddling with these, especially when traveling around at high speed, because what's going to happen if you do travel around at high speeds and whack the friction all the way up is that it's going to flip over and, well, blow up. I'll do a demonstration right now. So here we go, turning off the front thrusters, moving all the way forwards. Here we go now, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, now almost at 100. Putting them on forward to limit the landing. There we go. Now I want to come back down to the ground so I can actually demonstrate this stuff. Here we come. Very careful now. And yes, like I said, when we're looking underneath it, it's not strong enough to actually make you fly around, but it is strong enough to limit the impact, as you saw right there. But no, what I want to do is turn that off, back to the ground, and that'll do quite nicely. Pressing number 3 to whack up all of our friction. And now we're going to hit the ground, and there we are. It's going to get very wonky. The vehicle wants to tip over, and there we go. We have actually tipped over. So just hopping out of this, hopping it, pasting it back in, and there we are. So that's why you don't fiddle around the settings. Be very careful. Using up to about 30% on the friction is perfectly fine with moving around at high speeds. Going any higher than that will result in what you just saw. Going down to 0, pressing number 1, and there we go. Number 4 is going to be for what you just saw, and that's your emergency thrusters below the vehicle. So we can just about lift this thing up. This is me holding down spacebar. So as you can see, we can just about go up, but as soon as I let go and then start to move down, it's not really going to move up anytime soon. So when you use them in an emergency, it's still a very nice thing to have on this vehicle. Number 5 is to put autocannon turrets to lock onto your target. Number 6, manually take over the autocannons at the front there, so there we go, fire all 4 together. And then number 7 for your camera, so you get a good view of what's going on and help precisely aim this gun. And it does feel very odd when you spin this thing around in these types of vehicles. I don't think I've ever demonstrated this before or ever shown this before. But moving around here, spinning around, it's very odd and quite nauseating to look at. Anyway, out of that camera, pressing number 8, that's for your turret on top to manually control it. There we go, we only control the left-hand side one. It's still perfectly fine if you want to do some manual shooting. And as for that, that's it for all the controls on this vehicle. So turning off number 1, trying to sing around, bring up the HUD, because there is a pirate outpost nearby. What I'm going to do is now drive all the way over to that. I'm going to try and, well, see if this vehicle can survive the encounter. So here we are now very close to the Space Pirate District headquarters. There they are in the distance right there. And now I'm going to move all the way up to them. I have very little hope of this vehicle surviving, because this is completely unfair of me to put it up against that, because I've got so many rocket launches that this thing is going to get absolutely annihilated very quickly. But still, it's a fun way to end this video. I'm not going to do a driving test with this, because they all drive basically the same. And well, they are just a fun thing to drive around. I do recommend just downloading it, check out yourself, because yes, they are a very interesting vehicle to mess around with. Now, before I actually get a bit closer, what I do want to do is avoid that hole in the distance, and I'll move all the way up like so. And hopefully just drive away like this, taking minimal damage, finding all the turrets. There we are. Now I'm going to come over here and target the weapons. Hopefully that'll help out quite a lot. And I want to come all the way down to the ground and actually do what a hovercraft should do and hover all the way around it. So there we just bounce a little bit. And here we come down once again. Tab number 2, going to switch them on. And off we go once again. In the first person view, that's what it looks like. It's very scary to look at, especially with all the guns on those buildings. But you come all the way around. We're now just going to glide around. We're going to face it all the time. We're not going to move around, not going to face my back towards it, not going to face the side towards it. We're just going to keep facing the enemy head on, and hopefully the turrets will do their work. Of course, I can take over number 6 and start blasting into them. Not going to be able to do too much, because we're going to be shooting the ground. There goes the rocket launches. They are doing very well, actually, preemptively shooting me. There we go. Now I'm going to keep circling around. And it seems like we are doing a fairly good job at avoiding all the rocket launches. Or I'm doing a fairly good job of avoiding all the rocket launches. And we are taking very minimal damage. It looks like half of our guns have been disabled. And I'm going to come all the way up to it. Like so. Now I'm going to spin around. And there we are. That's just the absolute beauty of these types of vehicles. We just keep facing enemies no matter what. Even if we get absolutely pummeled. And with that, that's basically it for the AAV-3B Salamander. Hovercraft is a fantastic little vehicle to use in your world if you want to have a hovercraft, a tank hovercraft, to fight something that's, well, not as armed as that building. And with that, the link to its description below. Do wish to download and play around yourself. Highly recommend you do. And I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.